What is going on, everyone? So, some major things are coming up for AMC that you definitely want to keep your eyes on. So, the first thing we're going to talk about is AMC options and specifically the strike price of $145. Now, just taking a look, if you have no idea about options, don't worry, I'll give you a brief explanation. But the current close price of AMC as a recording was 55.69. Now, currently the market's not open yet, but in the pre-market, we can see that AMC is around 54 plus dollars, and hopefully when the market opens, it'll change. But for now, the focus you want to listen for this video is the strike prices that expire this week, aka 6/25, which is literally, at least right now, in 3 days, right? So what in the world is the reason I mentioned 145? Well, first thing is I'm looking at the calls, and the open interest compared to every other option on here, it's significantly higher at $145. Like significantly higher. Last week I was messing around with some options and did not hit my strike price, but the open interest was actually not even close to the open interest on strike price 145. Now, typically, you'll see volume fluctuate. Like, for instance, we can see the lower prices, typically the ones that people think are going to hit that's closer to AMC's current price, would make more sense to see a lot more people buying contracts that would hit that strike price. But if for some reason it seems like this week a lot of people, not sure if it's retail or some big ballers out there, but for some reason there's a huge open interest for 145. But just looking at the smaller prices, like for instance at 70, we only have 19K open interest right here. And that's literally $15 give or take from the current price at 55. And then if you keep going even lower, 65 only has about 14.9, almost 15K. And then if you keep going down below, 60s at 14.7K. And these are just micro percentages, 5, 10 plus dollars, $15 away. And you're only looking at, sub 20K or less interest. But then even 100 has 17, only 17.K. And then all of a sudden, we look at 145 and we're looking at 50 plus K, which is insane to see the significant price difference that AMC would have to hit in order for this to be in the money. So let me give you a quick, brief rundown of options. Not going to be super in depth, but basically, if these people are buying a contract, and this is for people who have no idea what options are, they're buying it assuming AMC's stock price, aka this $55, is going to be above the price at 145, aka the option contract, by literally 3 days or this Friday, pretty much. And if not, they pretty much lose all their money unless they sold early for a loss. And if they actually end up getting profits off the premium, maybe they're trading that. But if this were to go closer towards that strike price, even break it, a lot of people who got into this at this strike price could make a ridiculous amounts of money on based off of the RI gain percentage. But the only con is that it's super, 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 super high risk, and they could lose everything just like any option if you don't win. And also, the percent gain that AMC has to reach for it to hit 145 is basically you'd have to time 50 pretty much times 3. You're at 150 right there, right? So is that possible? It definitely isn't impossible to see AMC hit this price. The thing is, can it do it by the end of this week? So first off, before I continue, guys, just remember this video is my own opinion. This is all for entertainment purposes only. This is not financial advice. Be sure to do your own research before making any investments. And especially with options, don't mess around with options if you don't know what you're doing, because you can lose it so much faster versus buying a stock. Now, I'll show you guys some posts at least that will give you some more, I'd say, insight. But I made a video all about that rule, the SRNSCC 2021-02, pretty much this one right here. video before, but since technically it's already past the dates, this post, and again, feel free to fact check this stuff and look it up yourself. And I got this off of Reddit, so shout out to looks like Rocketman19. A lot of upvotes too, so people are liking this, and even the comments look too. So basically, he highlighted it for us and made our life easier. And it says the effective date of the proposed changes will be by Wednesday of June 23rd, aka tomorrow when I'm recording this. And then I'm assuming, I don't know the exact time frame in terms of how fast the rule will be implied towards the people that affect it. But if it's instantly, then obviously that's going to change the way the actual game is going to be played versus if it takes a couple weeks. We don't know. But definitely comment below. I heard it takes a couple days for it to actually start going into effect in terms of who it applies to. But essentially, these are the changes. So essentially, you can see like calculating, collecting the SLD on each business day rather than only the month. And then also the additional facts here. So feel free to check out all the details regarding that, or you can just take a little pause the video and just read it really quick here. I'll like zoom in if I can. Just read these facts right here. But essentially, that is starting 23rd apparently. We don't know confirmed yet until the day happens, obviously. But going back to this, for some reason, I'm not sure why, but the 145 has significantly higher interest. And obviously, it's not going to be that expensive to get one of these contracts since it's such a super high price in terms of the strike price. So that's definitely a reason people might be interested in it. So that means like your risk to reward is like very minimum. But also the chances of it actually hitting the strike price, I mean, something maybe I'm not seeing, or maybe something major besides just what I showed you is going to happen that could potentially reach that. We don't know yet, but just looking at the straight numbers, right? 55. And then I'll tell you too, like some people might be wondering, what's the difference? Why would I buy options versus the normal stock? Well, it's simply the ROI you would get, right? So for example, if you were to hold, for instance, AMC at 55, give or take, right? And it goes to 140, 150, let's just say 145, 150, right? You pretty much have a 3x ROI, give or take whatever price you got in. So let's just say, for example, you put in $1,000 at the, let's say 50, just to make life easier. You have about 20 or less shares, right? And then AMC goes to, let's say 150. You take those 20 shares times 150. Now you have 3K. So it's like a 2K profit, and you only had to put in 1 to get 3 back, assuming AMC were to hit that strike price, or aka the price at like 150 plus. Now the difference is with options. Now I don't have the actual calculation off the top of my head because there's like a calculator you can check out. But just note that if you were to buy the option and it hits the strike price and by this week, the ROI would be significantly higher versus you just owning the actual stock. Now that's the main benefit why people buy options, because you can make such big gains in such a short amount of time. The only issue is if it doesn't hit the strike price, you basically will lose everything, expires worthless. And then 2 is if it were to tank, like I say you got a contract and it tanks lower to this, then you pretty much will lose a humongous percent of your actual contract, or aka your investments, just because AMC went down significantly, aka people start to sell and then the cost basically just disintegrates, right? So that's super risky in that case. It's not like stocks. If AMC were to drop, a couple percent, whoop-de-doo, you lost a few percentage on the actual stock. But if options, if you have a very risky play and the price drops a significantly small amount and people start to see that, hey, this might not work out this week, then yes, you could lose way more, like upwards of the 75, 80, 90 plus percent loss just because you had an option versus owning the stock. So again, definitely feel research into options if you haven't seen it, but don't worry about that if you don't care or you just don't want to play around with that. The main thing is looking at the volume, or aka the interest right here, and it's a humongous amount compared to the rest of this week that I just wanted to point out. Now, could this mean anything? Obviously, it means a lot of people have some sort of interest seeing AMC hit this price. But does that mean AMC is going to get even close to this? Again, last week, AMC had a pretty significant interest in the sub or say high 70s, did not even get close to that. It even hit 60. So a lot of contracts lost money. But at least for this week, I think it's like an anomaly to see it at this at least interest. It's significantly higher than most. So maybe we could see something happen, movement, price action this week. 3 days for it to hit 145, that's huge. That's a huge percent. So if we were to let's just do it since I already drew this out here. Let me do it really quick. So at current price, let's just assume it just stays around this price point. 145, we're looking at, looks like 160, yeah, like 160 plus, 165 plus percent gain, right? From the current levels it has right now. So only time will tell. At this point, we just have to wait and see. But until we get further confirmation on all these new rulings and then just in general how things play out, we'll have to wait. But again, this is pre-market. I'm recording this, so who knows when the market opens. But definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about this $145 option strike price? Do you think it's going to even get close to it? Or do you think everyone who got in there, they're probably not going to make that much off? Let me know your thoughts, price predictions, and see in the comments below. Subscribe, like the video for more content. I'll see you in the next one.